Shalom, shalom. I want to start off by giving all praises, all honor, and all glory to Call Loyam, Yahweh, Hashem, Yahweh Shai, Hashem, Chakodesh Bakatham. Double honors to the apostles and to the elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwat and the Akim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying lesson. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you I say shalom. It's the brother Yahweh Sop out of the GMS Cleveland Church, a fellow servant, coming at you with another lesson through the Spirit and through the power of Yahweh Shem Shai. Basically, came across this article because right now the hot topic is involving prophecy about that third world war or that third woe. And although we know that prophecy says that certain things have to take place first, mainly the implementation of the MOTB system, that mark, you know, that potato chip. But through the Spirit, you can see that what's going on in Ukraine and Russia is going to actually affect and help bring about this whole thing. We were speaking on this at the last camp as well as sit down, and based on like what's going on with Russia and Ukraine and with the sanctions and how Russia actually controls a lot of the natural resources, and being how they're being ostracized and cut out of SWIFT and different monetary systems as far as the world. Their retaliation could be cyber attacks and actually you know basically the collapse of our economy. That's why Biden made that statement about the American people. It won't be painless, because we're going to suffer as well. Now, saying all that to say this, this article says, how seriously should the U.S. take Putin's nuclear threat? And it should be taken very seriously because of the fact that the scriptures talk about nuclear destruction. So I'm going to bring out a little bit of this article, and then I'm going to bring out the precepts, and Lord willingly is Salakia. Lord willingly is edifying. So it says, with Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the largest military campaign in Europe since World War II, underway, many observers and analysts are concerned about the potential for further escalation. That worry intensified recently when Russian President Vladimir Putin announced that he was ordering a higher state of nuclear readiness. The comment immediately sparked fears over the prospect of nuclear conflict between Russia and NATO. And it makes you wonder, because I recall, like right prior to this, maybe a couple of weeks, a month, I can't remember the exact date, but Putin was one of the nations, or the heads of one of the nations, because it was a number of nations that came together. Basically, Putin made the statement, well, if basically making them sign an agreement, because he said, well, if basically if anybody was to use nuclear wars, it's like nuclear weapons, that it would be no winner. And then all of a sudden now Putin is threatening nuclear war. And like I said, it could be the Lord putting the spirit on him. It could be all part of the this theater, because you got to remember, a lot of these world leaders are actors in this in the stage state, because some of these events are staged. They psyops, like the elder apostle Tahar was going into the George Floyd thing. I think it was Shakespeare that made this statement. He said the whole world's the stage and the people are merely actors or players in it, or something, roughly paraphrased. So just keep in mind, Putin is involved in this too. You're not going to get to the degree of power that some of these individuals get to without the elites allowing you to. The comment immediately, I wouldn't be surprised if Putin was like related to the Rothschild or one of those, the elite families. Because when you go into Putin's wealth, Putin is like super, super duper wealthy. The comment immediately sparked fears over the prospect of nuclear conflict between Russia and NATO. These were the precise fears that loomed for decades during the Cold War, when regional conflict carried the threat of spiraling into a global war with the Soviet Union. But how seriously should the U.S. take Putin's nuclear threat? Yahoo News dug into that and other key unanswered questions about the current war in Ukraine, like what Putin hopes to achieve by launching the invasion, what a potential peace deal might look like, and how long-term misperceptions about Russia by U.S. policymakers may have inadvertently helped precipitate this conflict, with Stephen Walt, the Robert and Renee Belford, professor of international affairs at Harvard University. I'm not even going to go into this like that, because at the end, they, like I said, this is based on the interview, but I was just reading and looking at the question, how seriously should the U.S. take Putin's nuclear threat? And the thing is, they should take it very seriously because the scriptures prophesy about nuclear destruction. So when you go into the book of Joel, chapter 3, beginning at verse 1, it says, "For behold, in those days and in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, I will also gather all nations and will bring them down into the valley of Yehoshaphat." So that's all the nations going to basically gather in the Middle East. I believe the Yehoshaphat is like Iraq region. It's the Middle East. I believe it's in the Iraq, because Iraq is where ancient Babylon was. Modern day Babylon is America, aka Babylon the Great. Um, so, you're going to have all these nations involved in this conflict because you got different nations that's going to side with Russia. NATO is a group of nations, and then you have nations that deal with Russia. You have China that deals with Russia. You have North Korea, I believe, deals with Russia because that's how they got their nuclear program off the ground and running. You got Iraq that deals with Russia. That's what they were beginning a nuclear program. So, you're going to have a group of nations, a bunch of nations is all going to meet up in the Middle East for this third world war. It says, "And will plead," meaning judge, "with them there for my people and for my heritage Israel, whom they have scattered among the nations and parted my land." And then you go into Joel chapter 2. It says, Joel chapter 2, verse 1, "Blow ye the trumpet in Zion, and sound an alarm in my holy mountain. Let all the inhabitants of the land tremble, for the day of the Lord cometh, for it is nigh at hand. A day of darkness and of gloominess, a day of clouds and of thick darkness, as the morning spread upon the mountains. A great people and a strong, there hath not been ever like, Salakia, there hath not been ever the like." And when it goes into these people, it's talking about those ICBMs, those the intercontinental ballistic missiles. It's funny because, Christianity will preach that, have you believing that the day of the Lord is like a day of, kumbaya and everybody singing and praise dancing and whatnot. But the day of the Lord, when you research it in the scriptures, is always referred to as a day of death and destruction. It says, "There have not been ever the like, neither shall be any more after it, even to the years of many generations. Even to the years of many generations. A fire devoureth before them, and behind them a flame burneth. The land is as the garden of Eden before them, and behind them a desolate wilderness, yea, and nothing shall escape them." Because when they hit their target, they're going to devastate and destroy all of this. That's why it talks about the land in America is not going to be inhabited anymore. It says, verse 4, "The appearance of them is as the appearance of horses, and as horsemen so shall they run." So they're going to be traveling with great speed in the skies. Verse 5, "Like the noise of chariot on top of the mountains shall they leap, like the noise of a flame of fire that devoureth the stubble, as a strong people set in battle array." Verse 6, "Before their face the people shall be much pain, all faces shall gather blackness." Verse 7, "They shall run like mighty men, they shall climb the wall like men of war, and they shall march every one in his ways, and they shall not break their rank," because they're going to be in order. You know what I mean? Like, it's going to be a number of missiles shot off. It tells you in the book of Revelations about 200,000 thousands, which goes into 200 million. Because when Russia shoots its nukes, you're going to have other countries that's going to shoot missiles on this place. Like that movie Terminator, and that's spiritual, when you go into written by a Jake woman, her name is Sophia something, and, Esau Edom took it, and, James Cameron adapted it, but, all those Terminators basically go into a day of judgment, that's why Terminator 2 is Judgment Day, you know what I mean? That's pretty much the point. "The earth shall quake before them, the heavens shall tremble, the sun and the moon shall be dark, and the stars shall withdraw their shining." Because that nuclear fallout is gonna blind the skies. Uh, let's see. Because that Third World War is going to be fought with ICBMs. And that's what this book, the chapter of Isaiah chapter 9 goes into. Isaiah chapter 9 verse 5, "For every battle of the war is with confused noise and garments rolled in blood, but this shall be with burning and fuel of fire." Because the ancient wars and battles were done, close up and personal with sword or axe or spear. They were bloody and up close. This war, because of the technology, Esau's miracles. They could use drones. They could use all these different. You got robots now. You know what I mean? And basically, shit, they got super soldiers. They, upgrading Esau to Esau upgrading different individuals, like that movie, The Bourne Identity, The Bourne Ultimatum. I think that was the one with the guy that played on Avengers. I can't remember the name of it, but basically they were super soldiers. Um, so yeah, this third World War will be um, fought with ICBMs. This is the book of Malachi, chapter 4, verse 1. For behold, the day cometh that shall burn as an oven, and all the proud, yea, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and all that do wickedly shall be stubble, and the day that cometh shall burn them up, saith the Lord of hosts, that it shall leave them neither root nor branch. And then we go into Isaiah, because like I said again, this is all talking about the day of the Lord, and the day of the Lord is darkness and not light. The book of Amos tells you that the day of the Lord is darkness, not light. This is the day of judgment. This is the book of Isaiah, chapter 34, and this goes into the sword, which is likened on, the ICBM is likened onto a sword, similarly shaped, and it says it shall be bathed in heaven because it's going to move through the skies. But I want verse 8. Isaiah 34 and 8, for it is the day of the Lord's vengeance and the year of recompense for the controversies of Zion. So when you go into that word controversy, let's see what it's going to say. Strife, quarrel, dispute, controversy, case. So basically, strife, controversy, because the Lord is going to judge all the nations. Basically, for when, like how I read that Joel, talks about it should plead with all flesh and bring the captivity, meaning of Judah and Israel, I believe. As a matter of fact, let me get it because I don't want to butcher it. That was in Joel chapter 3. So for behold, in those days, in that time when I shall bring again the captivity of Judah and Jerusalem, basically, you know, basically the Lord coming, to basically redeem us, So he's going to bring all the nations that afflicted us and basically, punish them, do that third war's war, because you got to understand that what's coming, the evil days, they're not really, it's not judgment for the elect, it's actually punishment for the wicked, it's the scourges, I got one further scripture to end this. It's the book of 2 Peter chapter 3, verse 10. It says, but the day of the Lord will come as a thief in the night, in the which the heavens shall pass away with a great noise, and the elements shall melt with fervent heat. Now, what can actually melt the elements? When you go into the elements, the very air is an element. You ever heard the statement of the very air being on fire? So you know what I mean? It says to burn up, set fire, to suffer with feverish burning, be parched with fever. So it says, elements shall melt with fervent heat, the earth also, and the works that are therein shall be burnt up. So the things, from the very elements to the things burnt that are in there, like the homes, the cars, the automobiles, the people. And verse 12, Salaki, seeing, verse 11, seeing then that all these things shall be dissolved, meaning destroyed, what manner of person ought ye to be in all holy conversation and godliness? So what point would it be, being that these things are coming, to be stuck in the world trying to live your best life? I was finding something funny. The Most High did something that was comical. This whole time I've been trying to get my children with me, and at the end, you go let me get call a lawyer, like, yo, but your shot. May it strengthen me. May all the trials and tribulations that I've been through strengthen me to be able to deal with my lot. I know regardless of me having them, I wouldn't trade the truth to try to live my best life in Babylon. I hate this place. And like I said, I just read this place's future. This place is going to be destroyed. So back to Biden's, back to that article, it says, how seriously should the U.S. take Putin's threat? And although this might not happen next week or this year, but best believe it's gonna happen. I just confirmed it, and it tells you in about with the scriptures, and the scriptures tell you that the Most High God is a man that He cannot lie. So these things shall come to pass. So if you're a so-called Black, Hispanic, Native American, Seminole Indian, West Indian, or Haitian, I implore you to come back to the law, statutes, and commandments of Yahweh Bashim Yahushua, or you will be destroyed. With that, I want to give all praises, all honor, and all glory to call Loyam La Yahweh Bashim Yahushua Bashim. Double honors to the apostles and elders of Great Millstone who do rule well. Peace and salutations to the Akim across the four corners of the earth, pushing this truth with faith and with sincerity, as well as risking their lives and their freedom to do so, now more so than ever. Shalom to the Akwath and the Yakim out there listening and learning. Lord, willingly, this is edifying. Shalom to the Israelite foreigners scattered abroad in the land of other nations, appearing like the other nations, but whom subscribe to this truth. To you, I say shalom. And to you, I say shalom. Until next time I'm able to come with another video. Shalom, shalom. Mawatha lababal. Shalom.